Hello, APOCABOXes. Creek Stewart here for the February 2023 APOCABOX. I am outside. It's a freezing cold day. It is actually freezing. The sun is shining, but I believe it's about 30 degrees. I've got my family out here with me today. My kids are over in the woods playing with fire. Wouldn't have it any other way with my kids today. So I'll have you keep an eye on them behind my back in the woods with fire. How's that sound? So today I'm filming a video about the February 2023 World War II emergency life raft fishing kit replica. And I gotta tell you, I have been working on this particular kit and box for over 6 months. I couldn't be more excited to go over it with you today. I'm gonna try to keep this video pretty short and to the point, but there are a few things I definitely want to go over and point out in this box. So let's dig in. Okay, so if you've just received this February box, you've probably just opened it up and you've seen the contents list and all of these kind of random looking fishing supplies. If you've had a look at the contents list, you see two sides to it. One is an original side and one is a replica side. But before we dig into each of those, let me give you a brief history on how this whole concept came into existence. So about a year ago, I was looking at some old vintage military survival kits. And among one of the ones I found online that I was able to purchase two of these, and they're the only two I've ever found. They were two World War II emergency life raft fishing kits. And I loved the concept of them. Okay, so the concept here of this fishing kit was it was packed on life rafts, different versions on various aircraft, and it had all of these fishing implements packed into these individual pouches, all in this canvas tool roll that rolled up. And ultimately, I didn't know it at the time, and I'll get into this story in a little bit here in a second, but if you tie the top of these two laces together, this kit actually forms an apron that you tie around you so that you have all of these kit implements at the ready and you're not losing them. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This whole toolkit is actually an improvised apron. So if you're anything like me, you can see why I fell in love with this kit right out of the gate. It had so many really unique and different items. I'm not a huge fisherman personally, but I love survival kits, and I loved all of these individual components. I love the fact that there was a harpoon in here, this big snag hook. They had all this leader organizer. They had an original contents list in here, a fold-out net, some other handrails, an interesting knife, and I was just, I just played with this kit for a long time, and I was like, you know what? I am going to create a replica. Of course, these aren't available anymore. These are from the 1940s. There's only, I don't know how many left, but there can't be very many of them left. And if you're able to find one, you're gonna pay $150 plus for one of these kits. And that's if you're even able to find one that's complete. I've only found two that were complete. The first one that I found, I disassembled everything, and I had to find manufacturers. I had to, in order to recreate a replica of this kit, I had to find all different types of makers and manufacturers and build this entire replica from scratch, because hardly any of these parts and pieces actually existed in order to just buy off the shelf from someone. So I had to source these vendors and manufacturers to make a lot of these items from scratch. Now, the original kit that I purchased that I used as a template to have this apron, the canvas apron made, was actually missing one side of the strap, okay? And at the time, I didn't actually know that this was designed to be an apron, okay? So because it was missing one side of the strap, that was the pattern that I sent off to the cut and sew factory to have this made. So your kit that we'll open up here in a second is actually missing one side, one tie strap on one side. So that's kind of the backstory as to why there's only one strap on one side and none on the other side. So in order to make this apron complete, you're actually going to have to take a shoelace or something and sew on a shoelace onto the side where it's missing the strap in order to be able to tie that around your waist as an apron. So that's kind of an interesting, funny component where it's kind of like a fail in my recreation of this, but I didn't know any better at the time. I sent this off, I thought it was complete, it wasn't, and I found out later, and so that's a part of your kit now. So I think one of the coolest parts about this, your box this month, is the fact that you get all of the parts and pieces to this rebuilt replica kit, and you have to assemble the kit yourself. That is why we've got a really good photographic contents list of the original kit and the replica kit, so that you can take all of the parts and pieces that I've included for you and assemble this on your own. This is a really, really fun project. I had so much fun just wrapping these hand reels, tying on these harpoons, assembling these individual pieces, and then ultimately putting them into the slots in this kit, and then ending up with a finished replica kit. I think it's something that you're going to be really, really proud of when you're finished. So let's open up what this finished replica looks like, and then we're going to dive into a couple of little details that I want to share with you before you start building out the kit of your own. Okay, so here's the replica kit in its finished form with all the modern and updated pieces, okay? My version of this original kit. Now, this original kit is really an ocean deep sea fishing kit, and I didn't feel like that really applied to most people, okay? Because most people aren't going to really be, you know, this is really for military use, right? For people who are shot down or stranded in the ocean, and that's not really, even though that's the kit we're building, I want it to also be a kit that you could deploy in a survival situation or have on hand and it be practical, okay? So I not only want it to be cool, but I want it to be practical. So in the parts and pieces that I sourced to build your own kit, this is more of a freshwater coastal kit. This is definitely not a deep sea, lost in a life raft out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean fishing kit, okay? So you're gonna notice that with some of the parts and pieces that I included here. Okay, so a couple of things that you need to know when recreating this replica at home from the items in your kit. Okay, so I've included two types of line. One is a braided line. I think this is a 10-pound or 15-pound braided line. And then we've got an Atwood rope micro cord, which is 100-pound test line. So these are the two lines that you're going to be using to wrap the spools, the hand reels inside of this kit, okay? You can see in the photographs on the contents list which is used for which. Like we've got, for example, the big, huge snag hook, which is a cool feature to this kit. This snag hook is used to actually, I guess you could bait it, but that would be a huge fish. This is really used to snag fish, all right? Or to snag, like, let's say a turtle or something like that, that you're able to see, and you're able to dip this down and actually hook it. And for a snag hook like this, you want a really high test line. So that's why we're spooling this with the 100-pound test micro cord, okay? The other spool that you want to do with the 100-pound test is the harpoon, okay? Which I think is one of the coolest pieces in this kit. And this is, I mean, an exact replica of the harpoon that was created in that first kit. And I want to spend just a couple of seconds telling you about this harpoon, okay? So not only are we going to use the 100-pound test cord, but I want to show you this particular feature to the harpoon there. You see that this notched area on the harpoon? Well, that is where an oar is designed to go in. You tie this off, you run this up the oar handle of your harpoon, you put the tip of the oar inside of that, and then you have the leverage using that oar to harpoon something and your oar slides right back out. It is just an awesome little design. But for those who might not be using an oar in a survival situation, you can take a stick, you can carve that stick so that the end of it goes into that little jam piece right there. You pull it taut with the string on the handle itself, and you use just a regular stick just like you would an oar. And a harpoon is not only for fish, it could be used for all types of, you know, critters and game in a survival situation. This is just a really, really neat piece to this kit. So one piece of the original kit that was really interesting is the original net, okay? It is actually a wire-framed net that you unfold and you open up. It's got this really stiff wire that forms a dip net. I had two thoughts about this dip net when I did it. I didn't really like the wire portion of it. I liked that it was compact, but I didn't really like the wire portion of it. It was hard to manage, and it wasn't a big net, okay? This net would be good for minnows, but other than that, it's not really practical, okay? So when I was like, okay, how do I recreate this dip net that can fit in this kit into a pocket? Well, here's what I came up with. I contacted a net manufacturer, and I worked with them to create this really nice size net, super strong. I mean, you could really net something decent inside of this net. It could be a turtle, it could be a frog, it could be a fish, and a really decent size fish at that, okay? But you'll notice that I don't have a frame. It's only a loop of netting material all the way around. Well, what you do with this is you actually go out into the wild and you cut your own sapling, flexible green sapling. You can feed that sapling. I've designed this particular loop around of net material so that it can fit up to 1.5 inch diameter sapling. A 1/2 inch sapling is ideal. And look at the size of net you can create. You can create almost an 18-inch diameter dip net or fishing net using just a sapling and the enclosed net that easily fits down into the pocket of this case. Then you could easily lash on a bigger handle, and then all of a sudden you have a really, really functional, portable, lightweight, and effective fishing net. Now here's a really interesting piece in the original kit that's going to keep you guessing in the replica if I don't go over it just a little bit. It's this piece right here. Let me see if I can get it out of here. Okay, this is a leader storage tool, okay? It's just a block of wood with a cork on top and a couple of notches around to lash leaders onto. I've got 6 or 8 leaders that are included in your kit. This is the replica leader storage tool right here. You'll notice that you take your hooks, you hook them onto the cork, you guide them down the side of your block, and I just use a rubber band to kind of hold them on because I like nice long leaders, so I included some long leaders for you guys. And then on the bottom of this leader storage tool, you had an original like sharpening stone for a hook sharpener on the bottom of this one, but on yours you have an abrasive strip to use as a hook sharpener. So this is a pretty cool replica of that leader storage tool as well. And of course this bobber could be improvised as a fishing float in a pinch if you needed. Now here's something really weird from the original kit, was this package of baits that was included in that kit. So let me read this to you. Ready for use, will keep indefinitely, turns snow white when placed in water, and this ended up being some type of a pig skin, okay, like a pig hide. Well, what we did was create a replica rawhide bait kit using the same concept. These are strips of rawhide that will turn snow white when put into water, and these can be used as a really visible fish, like an artificial fishing bait for your kit. So let me show you how to bait that. All right, you're gonna bring your hook in the top, you're gonna hook it through the bait like this right here, and the bait's just gonna hang below. And as that softens and turns snow white in water, it's gonna be really visible, and it's gonna really flap around as you're pulling that bait through the water. So this is kind of like your first bait to use in a survival situation until you're able to get like fish parts or frog guts or crayfish or find worms and bugs. This is an alternative in a pinch, just in case you have nothing to start out with besides this bait kit and some of your artificial baits that are included in the kit. Now, the next item I want to mention are all of these different spools, okay? You've got all of these different hand reels that are included in your replica fishing kit. You've got plastic ones, and I went ahead and had made replica wooden ones just in case you wanted an all wooden replica kit. You had the materials to make that, but I went ahead and put in some of these plastic ones as well so that you could kind of mix and match like I've done in this replica kit. So it's up to you to decide which ones you want to use, whether you want to use the wooden ones or the plastic ones, whether you want to spool those with a monofilament line that you might have at home, or whether you want to use this braided line. You can do and mix and match as you want. We've got descriptions on the contents list of what baits go with which ones, and you can see from the pictures, you can create these any way you want to kind of customize your kit. That's what I like, that there is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different hand line reels that you can kind of set up however you want. Most people have fishing baits at home. You can use the baits that I've provided, which are spin-offs of the original baits, or you can use your baits at home. So that's the part of this kit where you can really customize and make it your own. And as far as tying on baits, right underneath of this video, I have a couple of diagrams on some really popular fishing knots for tying on baits and hooks. Just reference though, if you don't know how to tie on a hook or you don't know how to tie on a bait, just reference those diagrams below and you're gonna learn a new knot tying skill. Now, the original knife in this kit was super weird. I'd never seen a knife like this. Had this really long wooden handle and had this little tiny stainless blade, okay? It had some string on it with a lanyard hole so that you could tie off this knife to your belt or to the kit itself, just in case you dropped it so you wouldn't lose it. And this knife floated. So after studying this kit a little bit, I believe that this big long wooden handle was to make this knife float if you dropped it in the water. And so this was a challenge, finding a maker who could replicate. So it had this kind of waxed cardboard sheath that protected the knife. Well, check out our replica, which you have. We've got a PVC sheath, okay, PVC protector with a cork top, which is what the original had. And then we have almost an exact replica of that knife. We have a stainless, slightly serrated and then regular edged blade on the top there. We've got that same long wooden handle. It's all pinned in, really solid little blade for this fishing kit. No fishing kit is complete without a knife. So, and just in case you were to drop it, this wooden handle is gonna help it to float. We've got a lanyard hole in there if you wanted to add some string or fishing line to tie it off just in case. But this is such a cool little custom edition. You'll never find a knife like this anywhere in the world. It's a custom made little knife specifically for this kit, designed after the original. Now, the original kind of contents list and instructions for this kit was folded up and inserted into a pouch in the kit. And you can see this here. And I can't believe that this is an original instructions from the 1940s. So we've got this, pretty cool. There we go. Now, we recreated, my wife Sarah, who's a graphic designer, she recreated this contents list in the form of your contents sheet that we've included in your box. So The back side of this contents list is the exact replica of the original contents list. And I would highly recommend that you take a few minutes and you read through that, because there's some really interesting fishing instructions from this original list that talks specifically about how to use some of these tools, references several of the different rigs that we've numbered on the contents list as well. Just a really interesting survival read from the 1940s with a military twist on it. Even some like pep talk encouragement, which I think is pretty cool. Well, guys and girls, I think that that is enough information on the kit to really get you started in order to dive in and start recreating and building out your own replica. For those of you who want to take this skill a step further, this build a step further, you can wax this canvas, okay? This is a 100% cotton canvas kit that we've had remade for you. If you wanted to wax this canvas, you can do so in order to make it a more water resistant kit. The original was not waxed. And neither is the one you've received, but that would make this kit kind of cool as well. And also, a part of your project is to finish on the lacing. You'll notice that you do not have a side lacing on your replica kit. You're gonna have to grab a shoestring or a piece of cord or piece of paracord, and you're gonna have to just hand sew or machine sew that lace onto this corner so that you can wrap that around your waist as an apron. So guys, I hope you enjoy this kit. It was a labor of love, trust me, making it. I worked on it and toiled over it for months and months and months, getting all the parts and pieces together, and it was a real bear to pack too, 1,000 of these kits. So appreciate your guys' membership in APOCABOX. I'm always striving to create unique and odd and fun survival skills and products to share with you. And I really hope you feel like we hit a home run with this kit. Can't wait to see your builds, can't wait to see your posts and your emails with this replica kit. Remember, it's not if but when, and be ready for anything.